Good afternoon, everyone. This is Max Efron with the Northern Arizona VA Healthcare System. This is the second Tuesday of the month, so it is VA Day here at KYCA. I have brought on a few different guests for this hour, but we're going to start with Tony Monreal. She is a supervisor for the Prescott Healthcare for Homeless Veterans program at the Northern Arizona VA Healthcare System. And one of the areas of expertise is the Housing and Urban Development Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing Program, better known as HUD-VASH. Now, some of you may have heard of that. We're going to kind of break down what that means in just a moment. But mainly, Tony is here to talk about a veteran housing project that's currently under construction at the Bob Stump VA Medical Center here in Prescott. Some of you may have heard about it. It's been in the news for a couple years now. U.S. Vets is involved. Gorman & Co. is the contractor on it. We've been building some large structures on our campus, as well as trying to renovate some of our old structures, and we're going to get into all those details. But hey, Tony, welcome to the program. How you doing?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. And to get us started, as I mentioned, maybe just give our listeners just a brief understanding of what HUD-VASH is. Some people, they hear the term, but they don't really fully get it.
Absolutely. HUD-VASH is a partnership between HUD, Section 8 Housing, and the VA's Supportive Housing Program. So HUD comes alongside and provides a voucher, which pays for 70% of the rent within a voucher limit amount, and the veteran pays 30% of their income. So it's a nice program for affordable housing for low-income veterans. VA's supportive housing, the VASH side of that, is intensive case management. So the focus is to partner the two to help homeless, at risk of homelessness veterans be able to get into housing affordably and sustain it. And with the case management, they get to work alongside of the veteran to make sure that their goals and the things that are important to the veteran are sustained and met and supported along the way.
Absolutely. And so for this particular project that I mentioned that's taking place here in Prescott, this has been in development for quite a while. I think it's been maybe 5 years since the first thought came in, or that they started kind of gathering funding for it. But, maybe give us just a brief timeline of who's involved and what we're trying to accomplish here.
Absolutely. So it dates prior to my time in the program. So I think even beyond 5 years. So the discussion started, it could have been 6 to 8 years ago. And things went through planning committees and contractors, and the plans got finalized. And since I've come on board this year as the supervisor in the Prescott location, it's really been a lot of collaboration with Gorman & Company, the Arizona Department of Housing, and U.S. Vets, and then our VASH program to really partner together for what we are hoping to be housing lease starting in February.
Yeah,
so it's been
up.
A long process.
Right. And so, basically, please give us just a general overview of what the project kind of looks like. I understand there's 2 phases, so maybe if you can tell us about the first phase of the project.
Absolutely. So phase 1 is the renovation of the officers' quarters, now known as the Liberty Quarters. There are 6 quarters that were renovated to house many different apartments. Every building has a different floor plan, so there's a total of 8 2-bedrooms and 15 1-bedroom units.
And these are buildings that have been on the campus for, these are some of the oldest buildings at the Prescott VA, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they've needed a refresh for some time, and now they have a true purpose to do so.
Yeah, and it's been nice in the planning and the rollout. There's been a lot of the original structure and look within the interior that's been able to be maintained. So there still holds its character. So it's very exciting once we can actually get in and see every unit. And they're progressing. I think this week we saw painting and electricity coming on. So things are happening. It's moving along.
Right. So these are going to be completely renovated, fresh units for veterans to move into, as you said, as soon as perhaps February. And, so that's just touching on that. And then we're going to get into the depths of that a little further. And there's also a second phase that will that's projecting a little bit further out. Let's just touch on that for a moment.
Yeah, so down in the field, kind of the area, I'm not good with directions, but from where we're located, it's down the hill.
Right.
There's a 4-story complex being built that's going to have 81 bedroom units. So every floor will have 2 ADA units, and there's an elevator, so it's easy to get up and down every floor. And I believe also a washer and dryer, a laundry on every floor. So it'll make it easy for our veterans to be able to get to their accommodations.
Yeah, no, that building's been going up very quickly.
Yes, it has.
As soon they started construction, I don't think it was even a year ago or less. It's been maybe 9 months, maybe. But it's moving very well along, and I imagine that they're gonna probably meet their timeline of trying to get anticipated move in by sometime this summer.
Yeah, we're hoping for August. So applications. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but in terms of move-in, we're currently getting referrals so the way that process will work is being able to take, once VASH approved, because any veteran looking to move into most of the housing, and I'll get to the portion that isn't vouchered in a minute, but most of the housing, you'll go through the VASH program and get a screening for eligibility and approval. And then that case manager is going to walk you through the application process with Gorman. So Gorman, not only being the contractor, is also the property managers. So they've got different roles in this whole process. And so they'll have an on-site property manager, and that person will be working with the U.S. vets and with the VA case manager to be able to facilitate that application process. And it's going to be for the officers' quarters, the Liberty quarters. We're already identifying folks. VASH is required to prioritize need for housing. So according to acuity, level of need, the case managers are going to be working with that on-site property manager to start applications. We're hoping by the end of December.
Okay, so coming up really soon. We're actually going to get some folks approved to move into those quarters that we talked about, that's the first phase. And for the application process, because we want to make sure everybody's aware that we are accepting these applications. We want to reach the veterans out there who are in true need of housing right now. Can you tell us when applications, we know when they started, they're going to be starting soon, that we're going to actually be reviewing them more and approving them. But how can veterans apply through the HUD-VASH Prescott team? Like, how do they kind of get involved there?
It's a great question. First thing is there's no wrong door. So if anybody is in the community and homeless or at risk of homelessness, they can walk into U.S. Vets and get services, and their team is equipped to be able to do kind of a pre-identification screening and get them connected to the VASH team for an eligibility screening with the VA's supportive housing program. Catholic Charities and Nation Finest in the community are our SSVF partners. They also can do that pre-screening and have been already, and they are providing the referrals to the VASH team. What ends up happening when a veteran is identified as in need and interested, that referral gets sent over to the VASH team, and the VASH VA supportive housing case managers. They will meet with the veteran. They will go through a comprehensive screening for eligibility, and then we, like I mentioned earlier, based on prioritization of need, we'll be able to connect them with Gorman in kind of that space of if there's somebody literally homeless under a bridge, they're going to be focused on for getting housing right away to get them off the street, where we've got a lot of veterans who maybe are in a transitional space and they have shelter. So that process can be fully explained by the VASH team, but ultimately they can walk into the VA's homeless program. There's walk-in hours Monday through Friday, or they can go through any of those other doors. There's no wrong way to get referred over.
That's excellent. And, obviously, there must be some need in the community for this housing, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of have the, a little bit more of the pulse of, what that need is. So do you feel like this housing is truly necessary for our community?
Absolutely. So we work really hard across northern Arizona, not just in the Prescott area. And there is a by name list process, which we work. Basically, what that means is we work to identify anybody in need of housing, any veteran in need of housing, and we really make sure that nobody slips through the cracks and that nobody is left. And that list is very large, so I think that it speaks to the need that's around. So within Arizona and specifically within northern Arizona.
Yeah, and I think one of the things just wanted to make sure our listeners understand is that this is a, as you mentioned, Tony mentioned it. This is definitely a collaborative partnership process, and so while the VA is involved with the HUD-VASH vouchers, really otherwise we are providing the property, but it's really Gorman and Co. and U.S. Vets who are going to be doing the management of all this housing. So, kind of, do you maybe just give listeners a little bit of understanding of like what that relationship difference is and how, who's responsible for what a little bit?
Right. Yeah. So that's a great point. And Gorman, so Gorman is the property manager. So that would be like the landlord, right? So they're going to be working on the application with Gorman. That's going to be where the rent is sent through. U.S. Vets, I don't want to speak too much for their program, but I can speak to what I understand. As they're coming in, they'll have offices that will be identified in the apartment complex, the Liberty at Granite Creek. So they'll have on-site support staff. They'll be bringing in services to be determined. I'll say I don't know exactly which ones, but they'll be bringing services to the veterans there to reduce the barriers of them having to go out and access the services. And so workforce and employment, resume building, substance use, and veteran support are just some. I know they have a long list of peer support and advocacy. So it's that partnership between the two of them as far as that application, that supportive service, which differs from VASH because VASH is coming in and providing case management for the VA, the veterans' goals that are important to them as far as maintaining the housing, sustaining the housing, mental health treatment, or really any goal identified by the veteran that fits within their housing plan and their preferences. The VASH case manager is going to come in and specifically focus in on that. U.S. Vets is going to come in and provide those wraparound and intensive supports around all those other areas as well. It's going to be a wonderful partnership. So we're really excited.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful opportunity for everyone involved to really support our veterans here in northern Arizona. And so, I think we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this housing opportunity here in Prescott. So stay with us.
You.
And we're back. This is the VA show on KYCA, the second Tuesday of the month. And with me in the studio, I have Tony Monreal. She's the supervisor for the Prescott Healthcare for Homeless Veterans program. And we are talking about a massive project that's been going on our Prescott campus here. One is some old buildings that we have been renovated to suit for veterans who are needing supportive housing, and we have HUD-VASH vouchers to help them to do that in an affordable fashion, as well as a larger complex, a 4-story complex on, I would say it's the northeast part of our campus, a very far corner that is rapidly being constructed and will be completed pretty soon, and both are going to be up for move-ins this coming year in 2026. So, Tony, we were talking about, basically all the components, the partnerships, but we want to go over some of the policies and some of the, not only is this a federal property, but, a lot of veterans often have pets or emotional support animals or service animals. So we want to just kind of make that, that understanding of what's required and what's not when you're coming into this. So let's start with pets and animal policies. So maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Absolutely. And I want to backtrack just a moment, if that's okay,
Sure.
too, just to highlight the program is for homeless veterans and veterans imminently at risk of homelessness,
Right.
which is where it's really important when we have those conversations. I don't want to miscommunicate on my end. So once approved and sitting in front of our property manager to go through the application process, I think our homeless veterans can expect to see pet policies, and pets are allowed. So they can, I think every unit, every veteran going in for an apartment would be afforded 1 to 2 pets. So there is an additional pet rent per pet, and I think they categorize their pets as cats or dogs. But it's clearly listed out in the lease that they would go through with Gorman as well as with their VASH case manager to kind of understand all the details. If it's an emotional support animal, service animal, there's a reasonable accommodation process to be able to get approval of that animal without the additional pet rent. So that's nice. There are options. Yeah.
Excellent. So that's for the pets, and also we want to consider campus policies and safety.
Yeah.
So maybe just go over that a bit.
Of course. So the VA is definitely a weapons-free and drug-free environment, as well as smoke-free. So in Prescott, the housing units will have designated smoking areas. So Liberty Quarters up on the hill.
Right.
I know the listeners aren't seeing it. There will be a designated smoking area there, as well as down at the Liberty at Granite Creek apartment complex. And within the lease process, there will be an acknowledgement and a requirement, I understand, to sign an addendum that just indicates an agreement to, if you're going to live there, that you're not bringing weapons on campus or into your unit, which would include your vehicle because it's a federal property, or drugs, substances. So I believe both are going to be in some form of a lease addendum that would be available when they go through the application and they're reviewing all the rules.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and as we mentioned, this is a shared property. There's a healthcare facility there. We have staff from all different departments doing their day-to-day duties, which is a great convenience to the veterans who are going to be living there. So, if they choose to have VA for their healthcare needs, all they got to do is walk across the street. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, that alone is a huge benefit for a lot of these veterans. And we have inpatient facilities. We have our domiciliary. We have our community living center. And so veterans are already living there on station, but those are, a little bit more monitored in more the VA fashion, whereas this is going to be monitored more by U.S. Vets and Gorman & Co. But HUD-VASH, as you said, there are some supportive services that HUD-VASH will be providing the veterans when they're there through that program, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I guess just to maybe wrap up the conversation a bit, Once again, how do veterans get in touch if they're interested, or if someone wants to refer a veteran to VA and HUD-VASH?
Absolutely. So, for any listeners, if you are a homeless veteran or know a homeless veteran or somebody who is going to become homeless in the next couple of weeks, you would call the VA and ask for the homeless team. And you get directed straight to any one of 18 homeless staff that can get on the phone with you. You can walk into the VA and go to our location, which is Building 151, Lower C Building. And you can walk in Monday through Friday. We've got an open door and staff designated to be able to sit down and explain the program and explain kind of what the resources are. If you're not able to access those two ways, you can easily walk into or connect with US Vets. They've got some outreach staff as well. And then Catholic Charities and Nation's Finest. They are the supportive veteran and family program in the communities. So they've got case managers and they work in partnership with the VA supportive housing program every day. So they also would be an avenue of getting identified and going through some preliminary questions to make sure that it's the best program for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And if some people, no matter where they live in Northern Arizona, they it's not convenient for them to walk into, our campus, or maybe they are a little intimidated by the process or have some simple questions they just want to clarify. They could also just call our medical facility. Our primary number is 928-445-4860. Again, that's 928-445-4860. And if they call in, who should they ask for? Just making sure they get to the right place.
If they ask for the homeless team, the HUD-VASH team, Healthcare for Homeless Veterans, any of those names is going to direct them straight to our offices.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break here in just a moment. Again, I had Tony Monreal. She's the one of the supervisors for the Prescott Healthcare for Homeless Veterans program. And if you have any questions, please reach out, talk to US Vets, talk to us. We'll get you connected to the housing needs our homeless veterans need in this community. So thank you. We'll be right back. And we're back. This is Max Efron with the Northern Arizona VA Healthcare System. It is the second Tuesday of the month, so it's VA Day here at KYCA. I just had Tony Monreal from our social work program talking about HUD-VASH. We're going to pivot. Now we're going to talk with Jeffrey Elmer. He's a Health Promotion Disease Prevention Program Manager at the Northern Arizona VA. And he promotes these monthly healthy living messages that we try to get out to our veterans through various forums. We send them through emails. We put them on our social media. We wanted to bring them on the radio. I'm going to try to have them on just about every month if we can, because every month has a different message that we want to get out to our veterans. And this month's for December is stress and managing stress. So, Jeff, first of all, you've been doing this for a couple years now, right? And so, we've been trying to get these messages out. Let's talk about what is stress. Let's start with that.
All right. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. So, stress is basically the body's natural alarm system. It's a little bit of stress is a good thing, but when we're not managing our stress, then it can lead to chronic health problems and stuff. And there are a lot of veterans out there, a lot of caregivers and staff that have chronic stress. There's nothing weak about asking for support, and it's really, a strength to help get that early. So stress, really just how we respond to emotional or mental health pressure, or any physical activities where the brain is really trying to shift into a threat response that can change your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breathing, and even release hormones like cortisol. So, like I said, short bursts of stress, it's a good thing. However, when we are letting that go long term and we're not doing anything about it, then, it can really start wearing us out. So it can cause a variety of different things like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and even lead to depression and anxiety.
Yeah, and so what are some of those early warning signs that stress is becoming a problem rather than just a part of our busy life?
Yeah, a lot of people will start, just having trouble sleeping, things that we don't really notice, but, it can lead to things like irritability, headaches, it really just feeling on the edge. It can change our appetite. We can lead to problems with like drinking or doing different drugs. So it's really important just to kind of tune into your body and just try to notice what stressors and stuff that you're having, and really ask your primary care teams early for help. They can give you a lot of resources to help you manage.
Yeah, and if a veteran is listening and feeling overwhelmed right now, what are 3 simple things they can do today to lower their stress a bit?
So I think one of the most important things is really just practicing self-compassion. It allows us to slow down and really find just a little bit of peace, especially, during this month, December. We got the holidays and stuff. It's really important just to pay attention to yourself when you're trying to do everything for everybody else, and make sure, a lot of people get in that habit where, they just want to make people happy and stuff. But it's really important just to kind of give yourself some self-compassion. One of the ways of doing that would be mindfulness, where you're really just paying deliberate, non-judgmental attention to the present moment. So that can include what's going on in your body, what's going on in the surroundings, what you're feeling, and really just try to really tune into those and get yourself grounded. One of the things that we have to help you with, we do have a stress management workbook that has tips and even a CD in it to really help you with mindfulness and even meditation. to help you reduce those stressors. And it's a really good way to really just start thinking about gratitude and all the things that you do have that are important to you. So other things and stuff is really just taking a moment just to take short breaks, short walks, even getting up and stretching is really a good way to reduce some stress. Just take 2 minutes to move your body, especially if you're still working or if you're just sitting down a lot. It's really every 30 minutes or so, it's good to take just a 2-minute break to really do some stretching or do any activity that gets you moving. Your and just your surroundings alone can have a tremendous impact on your health and well-being. It's actually shown that just taking 2 hours to really get out into the wilderness, enjoy nature, can really improve your mood and even increase your memory and your sense of connection. So just try to get out there, get moving, and enjoy what we have.
Yeah, well, excellent, Jeff. Well, thank you for sharing all that information. We're going to take a quick break here in just a moment. We'll be right back. We'll finish some thought here with Jeff, and then we're going to move to one more guest for the evening to talk about an event coming up this Saturday. We'll see you soon. And welcome back. This is Max Efron with the Northern Arizona VA Healthcare System. We were just talking to Jeff Elmer. He's our health disease prevention program manager, and he was talking about stress management. And I wanted him just to be able to finish one more component of the conversation here is what kind of classes, groups, or coaching does the VA offer to help veterans manage stress and build coping skills?
All right. Yeah. So, if stress is really affecting your sleep, your mood, your relationship, it's really important just to reach out to the VA, your primary care team, that can connect you with a variety of different resources or mental health providers that can help you manage stress and go through like the different tools like mindfulness, relaxation skills, and there's also a lot of mobile apps that the VA has for either managing stress or coping that we can get you connected to. And we also have what we call Practice. It's an outside partner that the VA has. They offer a variety of free stress management videos and classes that will help you with either mindfulness or breath work or yoga or even Tai Chi. So you can find that at app.ompractice.com/veteran affairs. So, but just to make it easier, if you want to call me, if you want to get enrolled in that class and stuff, go ahead and call 928-776-5463, and I'll get you all the information that you need to get signed up.
All right, Jeff, say that number one more time just so people
all
don't
right.
forget
So
it.
again, it's 928-776-5463.
Awesome. And you heard it from the man himself, Jeff Elmer. Thanks for coming on the show, Jeff. So we're going to pivot to our last guest of the evening because we want to cover an event that's coming up very soon, this coming Saturday. It's going to be Wreaths Across America. Perhaps you've been to it in the past. It's every year at the Prescott National Cemetery. So talking about it is Tammy Suttle. She's the incoming location coordinator for Wreaths Across America here in Prescott. And so Tammy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to represent Wreaths Across America.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so thanks for, let's start right there. For listeners who might not be familiar, what exactly is Wreaths Across America?
It's a 501c nonprofit. It started out, it's in Maine, a gentleman that had extra wreaths, and he wanted to, it was at Christmas time, they weren't going to sell, so he took it upon himself to take them down to Arlington. And he just laid them out. He'd been doing that for about 5 years, and until someone posted a picture, it went viral, and after that, it just went from there. And it's in more than 4,900 locations of the national cemeteries across the United States. They actually just started their transporting yesterday. They had a big, as you would say, convoy of all the trucks, and they were just dispersing all across, going across America.
Yeah, it's a huge effort that they're making to make sure all these different locations throughout the U.S. are receiving these wreaths so they can perform the ceremonies in a timely fashion. So I know there's a lot going on right now in the background, and it's a really powerful message that this is an effort to remember our fallen heroes, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation about the value of freedom. So, and it sounds like the program has really expanded. So maybe tell us a little bit about the expansion efforts and how many locations we're talking about.
It's 4,900 locations across the U.S. It's the national cemeteries. Here in Prescott, we have our goal is about 3,300 wreaths for the in-ground. And then, of course, we have the columns that we cannot place every single one in the columns, but we can place some of them there. So
okay, and so basically the we are already pretty well along with our efforts as far as how many wreaths are sponsored, right? So how many do we have so far?
So far we have 2,335 wreaths that has been sponsored to date.
Okay.
Our goal is 3,300. Every one for every hero that is laid to rest. It is our way of making sure that the veterans' service and sacrifices are never forgotten, and it's also a chance for the community to unite in a very meaningful and patriotic way.
Right, and so there's still time for folks in the community to help close that gap of what the goal is versus what we have. So how can people get involved or sponsor a wreath if they wish?
For this year, the wreaths have already been out; they're already being delivered. So the sponsorship has stopped for this
Okay,
year.
gotcha.
But you can come out on Saturday. You can honor a veteran by placing a wreath on a headstone. And it's just a great opportunity for anybody to remember, to learn, and to teach that younger generation of why we have the freedom that we do. There's for next year, we're going to, since I'm the incoming coordinator, we're going to ramp up. And my goal is to have the 3,300 wreaths that our cemetery deserves to have, and everyone that is there needs to have one. So that is my goal for next year. And as soon as January hits, you can start sponsoring from there.
Awesome, awesome. And so, and so the community can attend the ceremony that's coming up here on Tuesday, on Saturday. And so, tell me a little bit about what the day, the time, the location, how it's going to go.
Yes, it's the public is invited to join us for the National Wreaths Across America Day ceremony, and it's Saturday, December 13th, and it starts at 11 right here at the Prescott National Cemetery on the east side of Prescott. It's a free community event, and it's open to all. And due to the limited parking at the cemetery, we are going to have parking at Yavapai College, and shuttles are going to shuttle the people over from there to the cemetery. And it's a free shuttle, and it will start at 9, and the last shuttle that will leave Yavapai College is at 10:30 because the ceremony does start at 11.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're going to get into some of the details of what people can expect when they come. We're going to take a break, and then we'll jump right into that. And we're back. It's Max Efron here with the Northern Arizona VA Healthcare System. It's the second Tuesday of the month, so it's VA Day at KYCA. I'm in the studio with Tammy Settles. She's the incoming coordinator for the Wreaths Across America here in Prescott, and she's helping a lot out with this year's ceremony, and she's here to talk about what people can expect and what if you want to go to the event this coming Saturday, the days, the times, the parking. We're going to reiterate that all in a minute. But of course, Tammy, let's talk about what folks who actually come to the event, what can they expect?
They'll expect a ceremony both solemn and uplifting. After the ceremony's remarks and the national anthem, we'll take time to recognize each branch of the service and lane of the ceremonial wreaths. So an order that we'll have is the presentation of all the military branches. There's the U.S. Army, there's the U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Space Force, the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Merchant Marines, and represented along the Civil Air Patrol. And then we'll also have a remembrance of the 22 veterans lost on suicide. Each day, tributes to uh, the American Sons of the American Revolution is Ron Berryman, Ron Castle, and Alan White will be doing that honor of laying that ceremonial wreath. Then we have the Gold Star families and the POW, MIA, and then also finally the unknown soldier will be represented at the rest. They have it. The unknown soldier has its own monument there at the cemetery, so that's going to be a ceremonial event just to watch that as well.
Right. And, and this is one of the larger events that the Prescott National Cemetery hosts each year. I know the memorial, there's Wreaths Across America and then Memorial Day are kind of the two big that they tend to do at the cemetery. And so it takes a lot of coordination, and there's a lot of people involved to make this happen. And so I know they have been planning for this for some time. We have all the wreaths coming in, the day before, make sure they're all loaded and ready to go. And we usually get quite a few folks to come to the ceremony, is my understanding. Let's just reiterate what the parking situation is, because unfortunately, the Prescott National Cemetery does not have ample parking to provide for all those who want to attend the event. So we always have to have a different option for parking, and then a shuttling. So let's talk about that again.
Yes, the parking is going to be at Yavapai Community College, right off of Sheldon Street. We will have shuttles that will go back and forth from there to the cemetery. It starts at 9 a.m. and the last ride to the cemetery will be at 10:30. There's, if you're handicapped, that's not a problem at all. We do have those shuttles that accommodate you, and we'll get you there and get you back as well.
Right, and as I said, 10:30 is the last shuttle, but you don't want to wait till those last 10 minutes. Your best chance is to show up a little earlier, just to make sure it's a comfortable process getting to the cemetery in time before the ceremony starts at 11. Right, and then how is the ceremony? About an hour? How long is it? Do you know?
It's approximately an hour. Just depends on our speakers, how long they go over, or if they don't go over. So yeah, just plan on it's an hour long. It's just something ceremonious that you can be at and honor and remember those veterans that we all need to.
Right, and of course they'll bring everybody will be getting dropped off, conveniently at the top of the cemetery, and then at the end of the ceremony, all the shuttles will go right back to the Yavapai College. You may have to be patient depending on the attendance, but we'll try to get everybody back in a timely fashion. And just to kind of talk a little bit more about the volunteers that are involved to make all this happen. I think we have a note here. Over 3 million volunteers come together to lay veteran wreaths at cemeteries nationwide. And locally, we have volunteers, from all of the different veteran service organizations kind of working together to make this happen. And, I know that, they've been meeting at the American Legion post here in Prescott on, a monthly basis to make sure everything goes smoothly. Is there anything else that you would want to mention, Tammy, about what folks either can expect or, this is a rain or shine kind of event, right?
Yes, it is. Rain, shine, snow. So if it's cold that day, bundle up a little bit. Also, you can expect to see those that are being honored. Also, if you do have a veteran that is laid to rest there at the cemetery, you can sponsor a wreath yourself and be able to lay that wreath on their gravesite just for them. Or if you have a family member that is in Arlington, you can sponsor a wreath that way as well. There's a whole bunch of information on Wreaths Across America that can do that. But it's just going to be a great ceremonious event that everybody should attend, that will definitely a heart for our community. It captures the heart for our community and honoring the past and inspiring the future.
Yeah, well, Tammy, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this information. I know I'm going to be at the event. I'll see you there, and we hope to see a lot of our veterans and community members come out. It's open to everyone, and this is at the Prescott National Cemetery here in Prescott, very close to the Prescott VA Medical Center, and there are 3 branches of the VA, the cemetery, the healthcare, and the benefits, and so we're always there to support them from the healthcare side as well. And thank you for tuning in to VA Day at KYCA. We'll see you next month, and this was Max Efren from the Northern Arizona VA. Take